Welcome back to Level Construction. In this video, we are going to finalize the navigation pathing system, the bot pathing system that we'll be using for this level. In the last video, we got all of our gameplay elements into place, including all of our pickups, our player starts, and a couple of teleporters. And now we need to finish fleshing out where our bots can and can't go. Because if you take a look, we do have a lot of paths in here. You'll notice we got a lot of green lines connecting between all of our pickups and our player starts. But we have some problems, too. One problem is going to be that our doors currently aren't going to work at all. Our bots don't really know how to get through doors yet, and we have to solve that problem. Another problem is that our bots have no idea how to work with lifts, so we'll have to deal with that as well. But what we're going to do for starters is just talk about getting our bots to move around the obvious areas of our map, navigating the different parts of this key room, getting from one end of this little walkway here to the other, and we're going to be doing that through the placement of your standard path node, which you can see here inside the actor class browser, but is actually always available to you. If you right-click, you can go to Add Actor, and you'll always see a path node. Now what I'm going to do is just drop one of these into the level, and let's take a look at what it looks like. It's a little apple with a directional arrow, and it's got a little bit of a radius to it, and you're going to be putting these all throughout your level, but you don't necessarily want to overdo it. In fact, Unreal is going to be pretty good about telling you when you've overdone it and when you have a situation where a path node is redundant. As a matter of fact, as a test, and I don't know if I can actually pull this off. Let me try. I want to see if I can show you redundant path nodes. It might not let me, but maybe it will. Let's give it a try before we say anything. So I'm going to hold down Alt, and we'll put a path node right here, and then I'm going to put another one right in a row. So we have 3 path nodes in a row with no real reason for them, because a bot can see from one point to right there to the next. So let's just go ahead and build our nodes and see what we get. Yeah, there you go. Path node 0 is unnecessary and should be removed. So let's click Go To, and who's the culprit? Well, that would be this guy. He is unnecessary and doesn't need to be there. So as you can see, Unreal is going to be pretty good about telling you when you have been bad and you have put too many nodes. Now, some rules of thumb for placing path nodes. Path nodes will only connect and create some sort of a bot path when they are within 1,200 units of one another. Now, that includes all different forms of navigation. They're going to need to be within 1,200 units of one another. Now, if you need them, well, actually, if you have 2 items, like 2 articles, such as pickups and whatnot, that are further apart than that, that's where you're really going to need to bring in your path nodes and start bridging the gaps from one point to the next.
Right, in that case, even if you had created a straight line, that wouldn't be considered redundant because you would need that path node in the middle to bridge the gap of greater than 1,200 units.
That's right. Aside from that, you need to use path nodes to give your bots some form of layout of your room where they can get an unobstructed walk from one point to the next. Things like corners are going to be important, like this path node that we have here. We might move it, but it's kind of nice to have here because it designates the opening of this doorway. So wherever our bots are in this room, they'll be able to navigate right to this doorway and not have to worry about any intermediary. I like having a bot over here in this corner so that they can travel over here, maybe for ambush purposes or for dodging. It's a good idea to have a path node near any alcoves so that a bot can find its way out. If we had some form of obstruction in the middle of this room, which we currently don't, but maybe if we had like a big static mesh, we would need some sort of navigation point, a path node, at all 4 corners around that mesh, which would allow our bots to be able to navigate their way around. So just keep things like that in mind. So right now, I think this is actually going to work for this room up to this point. We don't really have anything in this alcove, but I think we're close enough. We could maybe put one over here, but it might be just a little bit redundant.
As long as the bot has a nice direct line of sight out of there.
Yeah, I think that's going to...
As long as he can always find his way back to a path node, can see one. He otherwise has no reason to move into that alcove because, I mean, there's nothing there.
That's right. Now, before we do anything with the lift over here in the corner, let's get our bot to walk down this walkway. So we've got one path node here, excuse me, at the opening of the doorway. And now the next thing we want to do is start to get them down the walkway. Now, if we remember that we have a navigation point here in the form of this armor, it's generally a good idea to have a path node at all of your T intersections. So I'm going to put one right here. And we'll line that up just a little bit better. Actually, no, it looked pretty good. It was just from that angle, it looked like it needed a bit of adjustment. So we can, the bot could just be running straight down the walkway, or he could turn and aim his way in and grab that armor if he wanted to. Now I'm going to put another one right here, and this is going to actually become a pretty important path node, because this will end up being a major intersection as the bots decide whether to use the lift or as they come out of this player start. So anytime you have a major change in direction, it's probably a good idea to use a path node. I'm also going to put one right here in front of this pickup. Actually, yeah, I can probably get away without that one because we don't have a doorway to navigate around. So I'm going to try to live without that one. I think we can just use this piece of armor here as a path node. Okay, so that's going to take care of pretty much most of this story. Let's go ahead and rebuild our paths and see if we ended up with any redundancies. It looks like we have one redundancy. Let's go ahead and go to it. And who was it? It's this guy. It says that we don't need him at all. That's okay. We'll go ahead and nuke him for now, and we'll take a look once we start handling our lift, because we probably will end up just turning that into a lift
we may indeed need something there, but at the moment, since the lifts haven't been considered in the navigation network,
right,
the engine's going to say that, well, we don't really need that path.
I was hoping it wouldn't tell me it was redundant, because I was planning on just switching it out for a lift exit later, but that's okay. We're going to end up having to put a lift exit there sooner or later. Okay, so let's see. I think that's going to take care of most of this floor. The next thing I want to do is take a look at lifts. And I'm going to start with this lift that's over here by itself in the corner. Setting up a lift requires 3 actors. A lift center, which goes on the lift itself, and 2 lift exits, provided that your lift has 2 exits. If it has more exits, you're going to need more lift exits. So let's start off with our lift center, which I'll select here inside the actor classes browser. I'll right-click here on the center of my lift, and we'll go to add lift center here, like so. So there it is. Excellent. That's really all we have to do. This thing will all but set itself up. In fact, when we build our paths, it's going to look down and see what actor it's based on. It'll know to associate itself with that lift, which is really handy. Now we need to set up our lift exits, which tell our bots where they can get off the lift. We'll start off with creating one here on the ground floor. So we'll right-click and choose Add Lift Exit here. And we get a bad size indicator. Whenever you get these, it's because you're either too far away from some object or too close. Sometimes you're a little too close to the ground.
Sometimes you just haven't had the paths rebuilt.
That's right. So let's just, after trying to scoot that around, let's just go ahead and rebuild the paths and see what we get. And the bad size goes away. So it looks like that's going to work. Now, just having the lift exit is not enough. We need to associate this lift exit with this lift center. So what I'm going to do is double-click on the lift exit to open up its properties. We will lock the properties window, select the lift center, and then let's go to the lift exit properties. You'll see My Lift Center. Click Use Selection in Browser, which will assign that particular lift center, and we're good to go. So now the next thing we need to do is copy off this lift exit. We could, of course, create another one, but then we just have to reassociate it. Much easier if we just hold down the Alt and Shift keys and drag this up into the air. So we just create a copy of it like so, and we could go ahead and rebuild our paths up to this point. Alright, only 4 player starts and lighting needs to be rebuilt. No major warnings so far, and you can see that our bots are already starting to kind of find their way around. We've got a path which leads to this player start, which is leading to these power-ups, so it's starting to kind of work. Now what we're going to do from here, though, is kind of smooth things out a little bit. I like the idea of following the right angles of our walkways here, so I'm going to right-click here on the floor, add actor, and we'll add a path node, and that's just going to kind of help this path find its way around a little bit more smoothly, which should help protect our bots from maybe getting hung on this corner.
Right, because you note that that path is the blue color, indicating that that's a more narrow path.
That's
which
right.
Makes sense since the path passes very close to those guardrails on the side.
Exactly. We don't want anybody to get hung up on anything. So I think that's looking pretty good there. We might take this player start because we're using it kind of like a navigation point and nudge it just a little bit toward those health vials just to kind of help round out that corner. Of course, we could put another path node if we really wanted to, but I don't think it's necessary. I'm pretty sure our bots will be able to find their way around that. However, over here, we could put another path node as they start to round their way around from the health points. Now, just as a tip, even after these health points have been picked up, these will still be used for navigation. So you don't have to worry about that. The bots will still find their way around even after those power-ups are gone. Now, we have no door here, though there is a doorway, so let's go ahead and bring in a path node here. just to kind of get us right in front of the doorway. And then we can start moving our way inward. Now, this will serve as a path node or as a navigation point. So let's go ahead and rebuild our paths and see if we actually need anything. So no warnings yet. And it seems to be finding its way through just fine, so no worries at that point. We do, however, need to start worrying about how we're going to handle this lift. So we'll take care of it the same way we took care of the other one. We need to create a lift center for starters. So let's expand navigation point. Let's click on lift center, right-click, choose add lift center here. And now let's set up our lift exit. So we'll just right-click here in front and choose add lift exit. Still get the bad sizes. Go ahead and rebuild and see if that goes away. And indeed it does. So let's open up its properties. And again, we're going to lock those properties, make so we don't lose what's in the window. We'll expand lift exit, select our lift center, and we'll click the use selection in browser button. And now we can just take this lift exit, hold the Alt key, and shift drag it right up into the air so we have our second lift exit as well. And let's go ahead and rebuild from here. Okay, cool. Now with that we can close, and it's probably not a bad idea to take just a moment and see how our bots are getting around. So let's just right-click anywhere here on the floor. We'll hold down Control and click Play from here. And I'll left-click as soon as we get in here, and let's watch what this bot does. So he makes it down through here, he's picking up armor, looking good, gets on the lift, goes and grabs some more weapons and armor, finding his way around, getting all the health stuff. And now he's probably run out of motivation at this point because he's picked up everything that can be picked up. So he's going to kind of look like he's ambling around with nothing to do, and that's because there's really nothing for him to pick up. Again, these bots kind of need motivation, but he's still finding his way around. He made it downstairs, and he's going to try to grab some armor. So you can see he is trucking around, and if we were just wandering around the level, he would eventually find us, and he would open fire. So that's promising. That means we're working this out, and our bots are being able to find their way around. Okay, but we have one thing left that we want to be able to do, and that's to tell our bots that they can make it through these doors. Now, granted, it's possible they may not ever actually come through the doors. We could rig it and put some really cool power up on the other side of the
just
of the teleporter.
You want to demonstrate,
but the problem is that right now our bots don't even know that they can make it through these doors. In order to get a bot to go through a door, we need to use a special kind of navigation point. And let me go ahead and expand my navigation point center, and that's called a door marker. So what I'll do is just right-click here in front of this door, and we'll choose Add Door Marker here. And again, we get the bad size. That actually might be because it's a little close to the door, or it might be far away. I'm not sure. Also, it could just be the rebuilding thing again. What I'm going to do, though, is go into the top view, and let's go into Brush Wireframe mode. So we can see where this is in relation to the door. Let's go ahead and double-click on it to open up its properties. And a door marker is fairly simple, in that it's just going to ask what kind of door you have. Is it a door that needs to be shot, or just a door that needs to be touched? We're just using a door that needs to be touched by the means of using a trigger volume. And what door are we actually going to be opening? Well, it's going to be this door, but we want to make sure we lock the properties window, select the mover, and then just click on the Use Selection in Browser. So now we've assigned this interp actor to our door, which is good. You have a couple of other things as well. If there is some sort of trigger that that a bot is supposed to use to open the door, you can assign that here. You have B, wait until completely opened. Personally, while I've been playing with this, it doesn't look like this is working exactly the way you think it should, but it is there, and you can try playing with it. Is the door initially closed? Yes, it is. And B, blocked when closed. This means if the door is shut, the bot isn't even going to worry about it. It's not even going to try to go through it. So let's go ahead and just rebuild our paths and see if that takes care of our bad size. And indeed it does. Now, that's only half the battle. We actually need a second one of these on the other side of the door. So let's hold down the Alt key, and we'll just drag this right through. And because we've duplicated it, it's already set up and ready to go. Now that we have one of these on either side of the door, a bot can run up to this door and know that it will open up, and then they can go through. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and rebuild paths one more time. A lot of path building we're doing here. Now, we have another path that was just created over to our teleporter. We can see it here as a blue line. What I'm going to do, just for the fun of it, is let's get some sort of a pickup. So let's expand navigation point, And
let's add a rocket launcher.
You want to do a rocket launcher?
From what I hear, the bots are really big fans of the rocket launcher.
Isn't everybody? All right, so we'll open up the weapon lock. No, not weapon lock. So a weapon pickup factory, excuse me. And let's go back into perspective view. We'll go into lit mode, and let's find our way around. Make sure we are up here on the top floor. And we are, because there's our little door marker. I'll get right here on the opposite side of our teleporter, and we'll add our weapon pickup factory right here. Double-click it, expand UT weapon pickup factory, and under weapon pickup class, we'll choose rocket launcher. Okay, now that should at the very least get our bot to come in here and use the door, even if he doesn't necessarily want to use the teleporter. So let's go ahead and rebuild our paths. Oh, it doesn't have a pickup light near it. We better go ahead and build that. So tools, add pickup lights, and let's go ahead and just build our lighting while we're at it. So we can wait just an extra moment and get everything cleaned up.
Just get everything built. Go ahead and rebuild the lighting, and then at the end of this, it should take care of paths and everything else.
That's right. And this should, I think, be the last time that we really have to worry about building lighting. Unless, of course, I accidentally nudge something. So we're almost there. Just got to encode the light maps. And the room gets awfully silent. Alright, 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, cool. So, again, griping about the player starts, but that's okay. Let's right-click here on the floor. We'll scroll down to play from here and hold down Control. And as soon as we get in, we'll left-click and watch this bot work his magic. Alright, here we go. Yep, he made it through the door, and he got teleported. So, there's that. So we have proven that he can use a door, which is excellent.
You could probably just grab the rocket launcher and throw it on the other side of the teleporter so he doesn't accidentally fall into it trying to get to the rocket launcher.
That's true. So we could be nice and just put the rocket launcher right on the other side of the door. So it's like, surprise, here's a teleporter, but here's a rocket launcher before you get it. And what I'm going to do, we'll just go ahead and nuke this light out entirely, and then we'll just recreate it. So build pickup lights, there we go. And then we'll go ahead and just rebuild our lighting again. Which, again, now that I've finished that off, that really should be the last time we have to do this. We're almost done. I think we just need to set up the door down at the lower story, and then our bots should really be navigating the level quite well.
Right, in one of the previous tests, we had already proven that the bot can navigate to all important parts of the map. He made it to both tiers of the level, both floors. He used both lifts to get across the map. So everything looked like it was working really well.
The only other thing I want to show, and it's not something that in this particular setup is applying extremely well, but I will talk briefly about forcing paths and proscribing paths. And I've got a really nice place to show it off to. I was hoping that the pathing would do this. If we take a look right here, we see this pink path line coming from our lift exit over to our little door marker. The problem is that what's going to happen is our bot is going to try to jump across this, and invariably he's going to hit this rail. Now, just as sure as I try to run the bot and make him show you this, he's not actually going to do it, because I've sat here and watched him go for minutes at a time, and then finally he'll get hung up in an infinite loop where he'll try to jump across to that point, get caught on the rail, fall down to the plank below, ride the lift up again, and he'll just do that indefinitely. So this particular path is problematic, and we can keep it from really being a problem by making it a proscribed path, which essentially tells the bots not to use it. It's still going to calculate, but it's not going to be used at game time. So we'll hold down Control and we'll select our lift exit and our door marker. Make sure those are the only two navigation points selected. I don't want that light. I want this guy. So there we go. Both of our navigation points for our bad path selected. Right-click on either one of them, and you get path options. So you have proscribed paths and forced paths. Forced paths is going to be used if you have two objects that you need to get a path in between them, and for whatever reason the path isn't appearing. You can force that path to appear. We're going to use proscribe, and then we need to go ahead and rebuild. And let's close, and now notice that line is red, which means that our bot is no longer going to try to make that jump. So good for us. So I think that's just about it. We do need to do some sort of door handling down here. So what I'm going to do, just to save myself some, we won't worry about it. I'll just create a new one. I don't want to duplicate too much and get everybody like thinking you can duplicate everything. Just remind everybody. Here you go. Door marker. Right-click, one more time, add door marker here. Don't worry about the bad size bit, I'm sure everything is okay. Let's go ahead and take our settings, we'll expand door marker, and this will be a touch door. And let's lock the window, select the door, and for my door, we'll choose I keep getting all thrown off because it's not really use current selection in browser. It's actually use current selection in level.
It's the same kind of button that's used, but in this case it's looking for an actor in the level and not an asset in the browser. But the same button is used. It's use current selection here, whether that selection be relevant to an actor or relevant to something in the generic browser.
That's right, and the tooltip never fails to lock my brain up, at least for a second. So let's hold down Shift and Alt, and I will drag this right through the door in the Y-axis, like so. So we have a little navigation point on either side of the door. Let's go ahead and build our paths one more time. And I think with that, we are nicely navigating through all of the different points in our level. So let's try our play from here and hold down Control one more time. And we'll left click, and let's just watch our bot run around for a minute. There we go. Alright, so he is running around. I think, though, I'm not a big fan of that rocket launcher being over there.
Right, it kind of throws off the flow of the map to have just rocket launcher over on the side. It was kind of useful to make the bot, give him a reason to make a beeline to that room.
Yeah.
But that was just a good way to prove that the doors are working.
That's right.
It doesn't really fit into the flow of the map.
That's right. So the doors are working. We'll go ahead and kill that out. And let's build one last time. And then what I'm going to do is bring a few bots in, and we'll let them duke it out. We'll watch what's going on.
That sounds cool. Make sure that the bots can both navigate and fight. See if they can maybe break off from a fight, go look for some health, or look for a better weapon.
Right. Okay, we should almost be done here.
So just a few more seconds to finish the encoding of the light maps.
There we go. So that's good. I'm not too worried about the player start problem in this case. We'll right-click, play from here, and hold Control. And as soon as we get in, we'll left-click, and then we'll bring down the console with the tilde key. Add bots, and let's say 2. And let's watch the carnage. Oh, there we go. It looks like we have a match going on.
Right, we have bots moving around there. They seem to be effectively moving across all the catwalks.
Yep.
Even jumping down to navigate into the different rooms of the level.
Looking good.
And it almost looks like that one bot was hiding behind the one storage tank.
He's
on that
camping.
side.
So let's actually give this a try ourselves. Just to say that we did, we'll click play from here. And just to show how quote-unquote great I am at this game, let's go ahead and just bring down, let's see, add bots, and we'll say 2. So at least I got the shock rifle before everybody came in. Ah! Okay, see, I got killed. But that just proves that our AI is so good that the bots can still kill me.
Can get the flat cannon before you do. And
that's right.
Use the flat cannon with all manner of effectiveness.
There we go. At least I got one kill in. Alright, so there we go. There's a little bit of carnage, and it shows that we've got our bots navigating our level successfully. They know where to go. They know where they can't go. And that really wraps up this level and this section over creating your own map.
As a matter of fact, I think that'll bring this series of videos throughout this package with UT3 to a close.
I think you're right. So we'd like to thank you and Epic Games for this opportunity, and please take what we've shown you here and experiment with it and push it and make your own mods and learn new techniques. I'm really excited to see what you guys are going to come up with the things that we've shown you here and the other things that you're going to learn as you progress and create your own mods for Unreal Tournament 3. And that is going to wrap things up for this video. Logan, thank you for joining me on this.
It was my pleasure.
And we'll see you guys on the next set of videos.